several faces from Saskatoon, where I attended last year's CURAC conference. Now, if you'll remember, I told you that we would meet in Waterloo, not that you'd meet your Waterloo. And there is a big difference, right? We're meeting in Waterloo. You don't want to meet your Waterloo. We're all retired, some more recent than others, such as Maggie and Joanne. And others in the audience have been retired a bit longer. I think of Bob, who is actually the PhD supervisor for one of our presenters, who himself is retired. So that must be a little bit scary in a way, right? When your young student is retired. But regardless of that, we're all here because we're interested in making the best of our retirement years. We want to thrive in retirement, and that is the theme of this year's conference. When I looked up thrive in the dictionary, it talks about to grow or to develop. And I think that's what we want to do in retirement. We've got things to do, we've got places to go, people to meet, passions to feed, discoveries to enjoy, and new friends to make. Also talked about to prosper, to flourish. And I think we're interested in being more than just okay. We're not going to be satisfied with just okay. We want to prosper and to flourish in retirement. The tools and services and knowledge that we need to do just that are available to us. And we hope that you enjoy this conference and what you hear and what you learn and what you see. So enjoy the conference and the people that you'll meet here. It's now my pleasure to invite Jim Frank, past president and co-chair of this conference, to the podium. Work on this conference began actually in the fall of 2022. And so Jim has the distinction of having been involved in the conference as past president, and president-elect of our Retiree Association. So Jim Frank.
Thank you, Ron. You should know before I let Ron go any further that he has been our champion. So Ron Champion is the champion of this conference because he has been an incredible force in bringing all of this together with the assistance of all the board members of the University of Waterloo Retiree Association. So thank you, Ron, for all your work. We unfortunately don't have a representative of senior administration from the University of Waterloo with us because this is the day they all gather for their annual retreat and planning for the coming year. So as close as you're going to get to that is me as a once was associate provost of graduate studies many years back. So welcome on behalf of the University of Waterloo. We have some wonderful weather. I hope you get a chance to stroll around campus and see the various buildings and how it's developed. So we have 5 faculties. The Faculty of Engineering, which occupies probably the largest portion of campus, is all off to that east side. And as you move around campus, you'll then find the Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Environment, Faculty of Science, and the Faculty of Health at the north end of campus. So I hope you do get a chance to wander around a bit. We have the pleasure of having a welcome from Elder Maigan Henry, who will be up in a moment. Elder Henry is the Indigenous Knowledge Keeper in the Faculty of Health and the University of Waterloo Office of Indigenous Relations. So thank you for joining us today, Elder Henry, and I'll welcome you.
Good morning, everybody. So beautiful outside. I just came back from Manitoulin Island yesterday, and if you've ever been up to Manitoulin, this time of year before the mosquitoes and everything comes out, it's like a wonderful place to be. But we were sitting with the elders of the community, and what they were doing together was we found out that the Royal Ontario Museum was holding some of our ancient pipes that we use for our ceremonies. And it was a day to repatriate them back to the community. So the elders came back together again. These pipes are early 1700s, and they were in the possession of people all that time. So our people have been wanting to repatriate many of our items that are in museums, and they have some of our ancestors' bones in those museums that been, still needing ceremony to complete their journey on this earth. And so when we've made a commitment to these places that keep these artifacts, and they did a good job. We have to admit that they kept them well. They made them in good temperature, to keep them as well as they could preserved. But a time comes when we have to bring them back to their home communities. So it was such an honor to be there. One of our elders, if you've ever seen, her name is Edna Manitowabi. She's an elder that has done a couple of movies, and she was there. And as she was speaking, this eagle came off the lake, flew right down by where we were meeting, and people just were, stopped in their tracks to listen to this beautiful elder speak and watch that eagle come in and land and listen to the story with us. It was just an amazing moment. We have those moments where we keep them in our mind, in our heart, in our soul. And I think we all here probably have moments of that from the places that we worked, and our remembrance, our fond remembrance of our journey through this educational system. You might be aware that University of Waterloo has made a major commitment to truth and reconciliation, and we've been able to work ahead to build more Indigenous professors here, more presence on the campus, and you're seeing more and more happening here around the university. So I've been a big part of that honor to be able to bring the Eagle staff here to join with you today. It was a moment that we were able to celebrate together, to say in this room, when we offered this Eagle staff to the president, it was an acknowledgement that we will work together to unify all those that live on this beautiful place we call Mother Earth, and able for us to find a path of friendship and honor. So I do openings now that we hadn't done in the past, similar to this, and I always try to bring another side of this story. We're all here to, tell our stories, but the Indigenous people were kind of left out for many years, and we have many stories. And it's been a challenging history through the residential school system, the 60s scoop, and various other forms of hardship for Indigenous people. And still today, we're still facing many of them. But when we have institutions like the University of Waterloo that have made a spiritual commitment to making changes, then I think we're on a path for a better living standard for all people. And so that's why I'm here to help today kick off this event with you. And so I just wanted to let you know that the time when this world was created, however you believe in your creator, we feel that it created a world, and they gave the world a a female spirit, because you've probably heard the term Mother Earth before. Mother Earth is the one that keeps us strong, feeds us medicine, and gives us a chance to feel the strength of life that begins every spring, such as the time we're in right now. And when the spring starts, new beginnings, we start. And you know, all the leaves start coming out. It's a really important time. But at the beginning, Creator wanted us to have a place to converge with all other species on the earth. And we come to know that us as human beings were the last of all species to come to the earth. The trees were here, the animals were here, the water, everything that you see in nature was here. And then at a point in time, our Creator, at least from our stories, say that we were brought to the earth. And we were set right next to a plant called the tobacco plant. And we were told that the tobacco would be our relationship to Creator and our ancestors. And we would hold tobacco in our hand and tell that tobacco about our feelings, our love for our lost loved ones, our reason for being on this earth. And we would let the tobacco go and let it fly where it needs to go. And it would take our messages to Creator. And so that tobacco would become very important to us as we perform our ceremonies. It's not how it became later, where it became recreational and people used them for cigarette smoking. We used it more for prayers and our stories and able to do that. So that commitment was made here at the University. Tobacco was passed to the Indigenous community to bring some of our knowledge here. So these students that are now in our programs will have the benefit of wisdom that's been on this earth since time immemorial. And so being here today, I want to carry that forward and participate in your gathering, because it's a beautiful day to recover that story that lives within our hearts of our time working at institutions wherever you worked. And then we can feel that strength of moving forward, that this next generation will have that strength to know more than maybe even what we knew in our lifetime. So as we begin every gathering, we bring our hearts and minds together, our spirits join together, and we're here to laugh, to learn, maybe even to feel that new friendship that we're creating, and to build a everlasting memory within our heart. So in order to do that, what we've come to know is that there was a time when, as I mentioned earlier, the earth was created and we got here. But there was a time when human beings thought that they were a little bit smarter than the animals that lived here. They thought they were a little bit wiser than all the other beings. As the earth was created and humans thought that they were a little smarter than all the other beings, we noticed that humans took it a little bit too far. And our Creator said that we have to get back to harmony with all other parts of creation. And so what we found out was our Creator created the waters that come from the heavens, started filling the earth. And as the earth started filling, it started devouring all the smaller little animals that crawled on the earth and all the other animals. And the water levels came up higher and higher until it reached the mountains, and all the beings that lived on the earth were perished under the water. There's one being or spiritual legendary figure in Anishinaabe culture that said his name was Wananabujo. He actually climbed a mountain and got to the highest part, and the water level started coming up even higher. All the other animals had perished, the humans had perished. And then he decided that there was nothing else to do but grab some of the tree limbs that were flying in the water, that were floating in the water, and he made himself a raft. And this raft, he got on it, and a couple of the birds that could still fly would sit with him. A couple of the other animals that could swim were near him. They didn't know what to do. They decided that maybe if it was the right time, when Anabuja would swim down to the bottom of that flood and see if he can retrieve some of the earth that was under the water. And as he did, he got as far as he can go. He came back up and he couldn't breathe. He was out of air. And he told the other little animals that were there, I couldn't get to the bottom. So a couple of the other animals that were with him decided to go and give it a try. None of them could achieve getting down to the bottom, except for this one little animal, and I brought him with me. If anybody knows what this guy is. Yeah, I heard the name. It's an otter. And if you ever seen one in the water, they're playful, like they just like little children that they play. And he was a lot weaker than the other animals that went down to the water. And they kind of laughed at him. They said, "How are you going to get to the bottom if these other animals couldn't do it?" And so they gave him a time to try. So he went to the bottom, and he was gone for a long time. And when Anabujo seen these bubbles coming up out of the water and decided to go and see, and he seen this little otter was coming up, and he was very weak, and heartbeat was very, very, very calm, very weakening. And he knew very well that this little otter might have been in the water way too long. And so when Anabujo knew at this moment that we had to send him home in the way that our elders had told us. And so he took out his drum, and we do a travel song, we say, when it's time to travel back to Creator's World. And that's what this otter was doing. And so he took that drum and he sounded it 4 times. And that sound woke up all of creation, because there's a special ceremony that this otter was traveling back to Creator's World. And the drum is the heartbeat of our mother, the earth. And we're born with a heartbeat. And that heartbeat is strong throughout the years that we live on this earth. But toward the time of going to the western direction, as the elders say, it begins to weaken. And that was happening within the otter. And so they gave this special song. The heartbeat was the heart of this otter. You can see it start to fade. Way hey 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 way hey hey way hey hey way hey hey ho hey hi hey ho hey way I hi way I hi hey hey ho hey way hey, hey, hi, way, hey, hey, way, hey, hey, way, hey, hey, ho, hey, hi, hey, ho, hey, way, I, hi, way, I, hi, hey, hey, ho, hey. And as that heartbeat faded, we knew that this little otter had given himself up. And when he reached into his paw, he noticed that there was a little piece of soil. And when Anabujo took that soil from his paw and laid the otter back in the water, and he gave thanks to that otter for sacrificing his life to bring that soil back up to the earth. And when Anabujo held that soil up, the winds came from the 4 directions, and the earth started being created again. But this time we were told that now that the earth has recovered, we need to remind ourselves to be kind with each other, to make sure that those original rules and laws that we have for being respectful and honest and lovable toward each other has to exist for this world to be a better place. And so now we honor the otter every time we see them. We give tobacco and we say thank you for allowing us to become the better human beings that we're supposed to be. Today, when I look at the world, I see we need to hear these stories, because when we're looking at things like what's going on in Gaza and across the world and the environmental issues that we're facing, I think those are very clear signs that we need to rely on our original understandings of life, that it's a place to be kind to each other, to build friendships, and to love each other in the best way we can. because our time is very short in realistic years. But what we leave here is definitely a legacy of love for our future generations, our children, our grandchildren. So if we can pass these stories on to each other, maybe we can find a place of friendship again and build this knowledge so that we can be strong. We thank you all for your work and kindness and dedication to your work that you've done at your universities and colleges and in life, your families and children and neighborhoods. You know, we thank you as people all together being stronger if we feel that love that exists in our heart. So as Otter also reminds us that we can still play and we can have fun, but we can also be respectful of this beautiful place we live. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and join with you today. Have a great conference. Miigwech, everybody.
Thank you, Elder Henry, for your presence today and for that inspiring message. Very much appreciated. I'd like now to introduce Kent Percival. Kent, as many of you know, is the president of CURAC, the College and University Retirees Association of Canada. And Kent, invite you to come to the podium and extend words of welcome.
Thank you, Ron. I bring greetings from the board of CURAC. We had our annual general meeting yesterday that many of you attended. It was an interesting event. Oh. Okay, I'll stand over here. I appreciate all of the contacts that attended the AGM yesterday. But the CURAC conference has been a long-standing central part of CURAC program, actually from the very beginning. CURAC goes back in its origin into the 1990s when faculty were gathered at one of the learneds in, I believe it was in Edmonton, and they got talking about retiring and what was happening at their various institutions and sharing information about the small retiree associations at their home institutions. And they said, we should get together and talk about this more and share information. And the idea grew, and in the early 2000s, some leaders actually put that into practice. There was a conference in Dalhousie that had, I believe it was about 40 representatives who came up with the concept of a national organization whose goal was to share information between retiree associations and provide assistance to each association. That grew. A committee was formed. It developed the model for how it would work, and the CURAC organization was incorporated in 2006, I believe. So it's been around for a long time. And at each of the meetings in the early days, it was a chance for representatives of retiree associations to get together and share information. And that continues to today. The conference is about sharing across retiree associations. So it's an opportunity for you to learn about what other retiree associations are doing, the challenges they have, the successes, and share your own experience. So I hope you spend a lot of time talking together. Tomorrow we have breakout sessions where we can get into some of that. But the idea of the conference is for all of you to talk with each other and learn from things and especially to share the successes of your organization. The CURAC is able to do a lot of its work because we have affinity relationships with a number of organizations, a number of companies that provide support in return for giving them an opportunity to advertise the market their products. Our big sponsors are with us today, and I hope you talk to them. Johnson Bel Air Direct, RTO ERO back there, and Colette Travel over here have been with CURAC for a long time, and we appreciate the funding that they provide us.